Hi guys, Laura here. I hope you're staying safe and well. So today we're going to be talking about sepsis and the signs and symptoms of sepsis. So before we get into sepsis, we need to actually understand that it always starts out as a localized infection. And if you look at any infection, it starts off as redness, swelling, pain, loss of function and heat. But what then happens is that infection then goes into the blood. And because it causes widespread inflammation, it can cause tissue damage, reduces your blood flow, and can cause organ failure. Okay? But we're going to get into that on the next video because there's a lot more that can happen. Okay, so you've got all of those things that have happened when it comes to your localized infection. So that infection goes into the blood. And when it comes to an infection, it is, how can I say, it causes inflammation. It causes widespread inflammation because of something called lactic acid. And the higher the acid rate in the blood, the more acidic the blood gets, the less oxygen your body gets, and then it's a free-for-all, and then everything tumbles, and you can then get the tissue damage and organ failure. Okay? And this is because when we have the lactic acid in our system and it's made everything swell, it takes a lot longer for the blood to get around the system, the oxygen to get around the system, because it gets sticky. And if you think of a highway or a motorway, when you have a lane out, it takes a hell of a lot longer to get to your destination, right? So that's kind of what's happening. The oxygen, it takes a lot longer to get around your system, but your body's really clever. What it's wanting you to keep your main organs safe. So your brain, your heart and your lungs. Everything else is an afterthought. So your kidneys, your liver, your fingers, your toes, they are all an afterthought. Okay? And so what happens is with that lactic acid, you have a reduced amount of oxygen in your system, which causes something called anabolic metabolism, which then turns into metabolic acidosis because of the lactic acid. So all of this, then you can see this in the signs and symptoms. The one that's really weird is your temperature. Whenever anyone's sick, you automatically think, oh, you have a high temperature. So you need to understand that with sepsis, it's not always the case. It can be below 36 degrees Celsius or 96.8 degrees Fahrenheit, or above 38.2 or 176 Fahrenheit. So it's either low or high. So this is why it can be difficult to diagnose. But what then happens is your blood pressure drops. And I mean, it can drop dramatically. And when your blood pressure drops, it means that your kidneys are in trouble. So your blood pressure is always checked. Your O2 sats, so your blood oxygen levels are checked. Ideally, they are going to be above 98. And you're in trouble if it's below 95. For me, mine was 89. So I was a little bit further down the scale to the point where you don't want that to happen. Believe me. But what happens is you have an extreme amount of pain. I don't think I've been in that much pain in my entire life. But going back to what I was saying before about the reduced amount of oxygen in your system, Your body is trying to get in more oxygen. So it means that you are breathing really deeply and really fast because your body is saying, I need the oxygen, help me, help me, help me. And it's like, but you also think, oh my God, I'm gonna die. And you have a sense of impending doom. This is where I always think of Doctor Doom, Marvel character. I know I'm really quite sad like that. But you'll then have extreme rigor, so shaking. When it was me, I actually was shaking so much that it looked like I was having a fit. And it's not good. But also because of the loss of oxygen to your brain, you can then get confusion and hallucinations. And you look like crap. Let's just basically pale, a rash, jaundice, even meningitis is now actually classed as sepsis. And when it comes to these signs and symptoms, the key is to get to the ER or A&E as soon as you can, because early diagnosis is key. If we are able to treat this early enough, we will not have people die. There are 30 million people that have sepsis each year, of which 11 million people die. So that's only 19 million that survive. And what you have to remember is sepsis is responsible for 1 in 5 deaths worldwide. And this was actually something that was released in January 2020 by The Lancet. We need to be aware of sepsis. And if we are, we can help save lives. Okay, so we've got the workbook, and then the next, if you look at the slides, it'll be on there, all of this information that we've gone over. If you've got any questions, give me an email. And then if you go on to the next video, we're going to be talking about what is the sepsis and talking about the complications that occur with sepsis. Okay, see you in a minute. Bye.